Hey, it's Stu, and this is going to be a I have the hiccups, longish video about a haul. And I won't start with all of the guilt that I normally feel because this is unhinged. And also, as you see, I've made some space on this shelf because I actually have more bookshelves that I haven't been using, and I've had some bad influences in my life recently that are like, why are you getting rid of everything and then not going to put books on those shelves? And it's because of overindulgence, and I'm a pending move, but here we are. We're going to talk about Friends of the Library extraordinaire book sale and Little Free Libraries. That's where I've gotten some things. So let me just get started. This I found in a Little Free Library, and it is Steve Erickson's These Dreams of You. This is a Europa press, so already it would probably be a priority haul, especially for a free book for me. And not knowing much about this book, I just read the synopsis a little bit, and it is taking place right after Obama's election, and so it's kind of contemporary fiction following a Black family at the wake of, so we'll call it the Obama era. So I was really excited to be expanding my Europa Press collection, but also, Black History Month is coming up in February, and I thought that this would be excellent to have in that pile of possibilities. Speaking of which, I already had hauled earlier this year Telephone by Percival Everett, and this paperback, and some smuck got on the back, and I don't know how or why. See? And that's, I think I did that because I don't remember seeing that before. I digress. This was in an earlier haul from the Friends of the Library, and it came with a nice bookmark. Just a recent delivery to that same Friends of the Library bookshop was Dr. No, which was one of the times that Percival went up for the Pulitzer and didn't quite make it until James. So I'm excited to now have two Percival, and I've already read one of his this last year. So I think that one of these for sure will be in my pile of possibilities for coming up in February, likely. But I also just want to say how beautiful these books are, and so I have moved this little stack that I'm showing you now into my front room for some show. These are some show books because they're also beautiful. Okay, speaking of collection building, I have just this weekend in a couple of different places now hauled 3 Colson Whitehead books after having had none. I think was it the Pulitzer for the Underground Railroad? And I'm sure that's what he's most known for. But I recently just watched Ann Patchett go on a little bit of a rant on her, I think it's called New to Me or something, where she was responding to an op-ed, and she brought up both of these books. So I was super excited to have just listened to her talk about how literary fiction is not dead. And there's some great literary fiction contemporary authors, and mentioned these books. And then the John Henry Days, I think this is the oldest of this collection. These are in the 2020s, and this is, I think, 2001. And of course, those are all beautiful books. Again, you can see why they're going to be kind of on a book showcase in my front room. And for sure, that's my pile of possibilities, for any kind of reading, but particularly Black History Month. Speaking of finds that I found in a couple different places, let me see, Good Dirt had just arrived today, and one of the volunteers wanted it. And then she was like, oh, no, do you want it? And I said, no, because I actually had just hauled Black Cake. So I agreed to read this by Charmaine Wilkerson. I agreed to read this, which is her debut. And Good Dirt is the more recent one, sophomore. And then come back in 1 month from today and exchange this book with her for Good Dirt. So this is going to be on I'm going to read it somehow in November. It might just have to bump one of the bookers. It's fine. I have plenty of time to read everything because, you know, wading into the possibility of book trading and you know, the more bookish community things I do, the happier. So I had hauled this at a different place, a different Friends of the Library situation than the one I went to today. But today I found this Baking Cakes in Kigali by Gail Parkin. And this is cozy. This is a cozy, and it's about baking cakes in Kigali, Rwanda. And the setting's Rwanda, the author's Rwandan. And so there must have been a reader who had a collection from Africa, which I think that I'm slowly but surely a donor, I'll say, buying up those books. But I thought that these would be fantastic kind of like partner reads, just because of the word cake and what's going to happen with cakes in both of those. So it's also kind of got a fall vibe. Come on. So again, it might have to bump to something else, maybe one of the Neurovembers, so that I can get it read in November, because boy, do I have a hectic November pile of possibilities / TBR. But those I think, honestly, at least this one I can read before, well, at the very end of November, and then I can read this one right into December too, since I didn't agree to trade that one. So kind of on the line of beautiful books, I hauled Loot by Tanya James, and Maggie O'Farrell is the one who does a little blurb for this. And I just said, you know what, it looks beautiful. It's in a great condition hardback. So this was one of my free books today. And I just finished Brickling, which I believe this author's Indian in Brickling. It was Bangladeshi, but I'm saying that to say I think that there's some connection between South Asia and England in this book as well. But I don't know that much about it. We'll find out on that TBR. I know I'm aware of the controversy around Chimamanda Ngozi Adichie's comments, perhaps, yeah, definitely not perhaps, comments about trans people. And I know that a lot of people didn't read this book or boycotted Dream Count, even though it was on Women's Prize long list this year because of that. I absolutely still work through, do you discount the art because of the opinions of the artist? This book was hauled for free, so I'm not contributing per se to the wealth of this author, but I really, really, really did like Purple Hibiscus. And unless somebody, comes at me with a really compelling argument for why I shouldn't read this, I'm still working on that, and I hauled this today. And that will go, of course, in my long list of Women's Prize for Fiction long listed books. I got this from a little free library, and that's Ithaca by Claire North, and this is the Penelope story. And I have to be honest, I'm not that I don't, because I think Circe has more acclaim, and that author, the one of Son of Achilles too. But I've always, I have quoted, well, first of all, I was a bit of an Odyssey obsessor in my late teens, and I've quoted ideas about Penelope almost my whole life. So I'm excited to read Penelope retelling, or the telling from the eyes of Penelope. Speaking of kind of retelling, I found this. This might be one of the most spectacular finds I ever found in a little free library. This is Khalil Gibran's Jesus, the Son of Man, his words and his deeds as told and recorded by those who knew him. So here we have this concept that Khalil Gibran's doing in poetry. This is verse, thinking about who was Jesus. Super excited for this, and this one is probably not going to get on hold anytime soon, and I'm going to read it with certain folks, especially those who like poetry, especially those who like Khalil Gibran. Let me see, January is Muslim American Heritage Month. Yeah, I can see that kind of some of those poems coming up. Again, really on the vein of beautiful books, and that's why I got it. This is The Orchard by Katrina Gorcheva-Newberry. And this is, I'm going to call it historical fiction, end of the Soviet Union, and exploring some teenagers as they live through that period in history. It's loosely based on a classic Russian novel, which is the something orchard, peach orchard. I'm not familiar with, but I do know that it's loosely based on that. Okay, and then my final beautiful hardback book that I'm going to talk about is These Impossible Things by Salma El-Wardani. And this, Salma El-Wardani is Egyptian Irish, and I believe the setting is the UK, and we have some really close friends. Yep. Like 3 really good friends that kind of make it through life together. So this is going to tell across time, I believe, and the show kind of what coming of age and becoming adults and life happens to these friends. That's what I gathered from this book. I really like the exploration of friendship across time, so I am super excited for that book. Next we have kind of a pile of books in translation. So I am a bit of a sucker for books in translation, and we'll see how much or how often I'm reading them. I'm gonna put books in translation as one of the piles of possibilities in the new year, just to make sure that I'm, pulling them regularly, or thinking about how I'm considering them. I wasn't super interested in this book. I'd seen it before, and I decided to haul it. One of the reasons that I struggled is because there's these features in here that, well, I just won't be able to read, but I can get it digitally. And this is a World War II novel, a historical fiction. It's Trieste by Dasha Drondik. I've said my piece about World War II novels, but then I continue to read them and find new perspectives. And this is a Croatian author. This is a Croatian setting. This is a Croatian story. So, having never read a Croatian author before, I was excited to give this a try. And also, can you see the face? Isn't that cool? Like, I loved this color. When I finally really picked up this book, and I was like, why did I pass up this book on Thursday when I was kind of hauling books in translation? One of the 52 book club's prompts this year is book face, and I might have to say I had something else picked, but I mean, I don't even know if I'll really loosely do it, just cross-reference with other things I'm doing, but that one might have to be book face, because that really, to me, is a fantastic book face. Okay, moving along with books in translation. The Curious Casebook of Inspector Hansichi. it's it's a collection of stories, which I'm excited for, because what I think that will happen with this book, especially if I just, mysteries to me can be quite a bit cozy. So especially if I just like want a mystery fix, I'm gonna think to grab this and read, you know, one of the stories in it, but not try to approach this book cover to cover. Oh, let me see. I need to say who the translators are. I apologize. So the translator for Trieste is Ellen Elias. I think it's Burshak. Yeah. And then the author of this book is Okamoto Kido, and the translator is Ian McDonald. And then They Say Sarah by Pauline Delbroy Allard is French. It's translated from the French by Adriana Hunter, and this is a little sapphic romance. And I, after having gotten rid of all my romance, have now hauled a couple of romances, and I think one in translation and sapphic is probably where I want to land with romance. And then we have Renato Cisneros' You Shall Leave Your Land. I mean, one has to love the French flaps. This is just a beautiful book. I'd actually seen this book before and not hauled it. And then I decided, let's give it a try. Renato Cisneros is Peruvian. This is a contemporary Peruvian novel, but this book is following Renato Cisneros, like follows 7 generations back. So this is a bit of a personal story. He's looking up his heritage. There's like the patriarch, or he goes all the way back to someone named Nicholas Cisneros, and I think then Renato Cisneros looks through historical record and then reflects and then creates some kind of a novel as well out of it. And at first I thought, I don't know. I feel like that's going to be a little bit about like seeing further, which I am still trying to get into but can't. But I decided to give it a try. I think that I definitely have a friend who would be interested in this book if I can't make it, or if it just doesn't work for me. So this is a $3 book, brand new condition, no regret haul. But it was one that I said, can I do it? We shall see. It reminds me a little of the Brent Easton Ellis Lunar Park, and I would not have hauled this book. And with all fairness, this book is old enough that I could have asked them to just give it to me for free, because they are not trying to keep older publications around just because they have too many donations. But the reason I was super excited to find this book today was that I had just seen a booktuber review it, and I really liked her review of this book. And in this book as well, he writes himself into the plot, and it's a bit speculative. It's a speculative fiction, but his speculative historical fiction, if one could do that. That's what Bret Easton Ellis is doing in Lunar Park, and he's written into the story like in this. So I wonder if I wouldn't plan to read them at least during the same month, maybe not back to back, but so that I could reflect on, if it worked, or what worked better or what didn't work better. I will make sure that when I do the TBR, that I find the name of the person who reviewed so that I can give her a shout out, because I really did appreciate her review, and it is because of the review that I did haul this book. This book also joyfully has an old plane ticket in it from 2003, I think. Yeah. Okay. So the last sort of book in translation after that sidebar is Catherine Enberg's The Tenant. And this is a thriller, and this came from a little free library. So I don't need any more mystery thrillers. My shelf is pretty full and it's a very small shelf. And I'm more than fine. Like, in fact, I think that I will do what I did the last time I got some mystery thriller arcs. And that's just on haul one that I think I'm less likely to read than this. This one caught my eye because another one of the 52 book club prompts this year is book with a map in it. And this has a map in it. And this is translated from Dutch. And so I also like to give authors from countries that I don't normally read from more of a try. So that could bump one of my other. So the translator is Tara Chance. Yeah. And so I thought this is, again, even if it's mystery thriller, a pretty stellar find, can fit that, has the map in it. So I have a prompt for which to read it. Now, I don't know what to say about The Nature of Disappearing, also from A Little Free Library by Kimmy Cunningham Grant. I found that being like in a national park and in nature, as is going to be the setting, and look at this beautiful cover, and arcs. It's an arc. You know how for some reason, I don't know why they intrigue me, but I like to keep them moving around and being read in this free space. But anyway, I think, again, I'll find something that it'll replace on the shelf, and then it'll sit there, and it might be one of those that gets replaced. I don't read that many mystery thrillers, and mystery, like gumshoe mysteries, kind of my guilty pleasure, but lately I've been just not appreciating kind of the tropes, and like, it's not been my vibe, but it has been in the past, so it's not a very big book, and I got it for free. If I don't read it somewhat soon, I'll put it back in Little Free Libraries. The Good Thief. I passed this up by Hannah Tinty. I passed this up a couple of times, and then I realized that Hunat Diaz gave it the little bit of a blurb, and in the front. I get pirate vibe. I didn't read very much about this, but I get kind of pirate vibe, coming of age. And some reason I got a little bit cozy, or at least a little bit heartwarming from this book. And I have a lot of books that are confronting in a lot of ways that I deeply appreciate. So having a little heartwarming story, well, more than one. I mean, I've been thinking about them if those are things that I want to have on grabs. So that's what I thought when I grabbed this as well. This is Little Free Library. I was surprised. So I had to make sure that this also existed in Libby. And this is an older book, and it's contemporary fiction. I Left My Back Door Open by April Sinclair. This book is from the 90s. But I'm interested. I'm interested in this particular kind of contemporary fiction from the 90s. And I definitely have, it seemed fun. It seemed fun and a bit light. And I definitely have a friend who says she wants to get back into reading, but she can't and doesn't want to read anything confronting or sad or distressing or depressing. And I mean, then no literary fiction, basically. So I hauled this explicitly from A Little Free Library to have as one of those kinds of palette cleansers or lighter feel books, but also if I don't get to it, I am just going to gift this book to her. Not in that vein is Valentine by Elizabeth Wetmore. This is an incredibly confronting book, and I may or may not be able to do it. I know that there's an assault on a woman in this book in 1976 in Texas. Yeah. And then it goes to sort of show the story of how it's impacted multiple other women. And it's looking at the intersections of violence and race and class in a region, in a story that plumbs the depths of darkness and fear. So I'm not going to say that I don't have a feeling that this book is going to leave you hopeless, but that's a lot of confronting. And there's a lot of, like, probably for any woman, like trigger things that could be happening in this book. So I am interested in the exploration. I definitely am. I'd have to be very much in the right mood to read it. And I would say the same as Milkman, which is confronting in very similar ways. From what I'm to understand, Milkman is by Anna Burns, and it fits several of this is a Booker winner. So I'm not going to read it in my pile of possibilities of Bookers this year because I've already I've already tapped that out. Like I have what I'm almost positively going to read through the rest of this month, and it's not likely that this is going to make it. It does have a very autumn feel. It was also shortlisted, I believe, for the Women's Prize for Fiction, so it's in that giant sort of like catalog that I'll be working through. And yeah, I'm happy that I hauled it. I'm pretty sure I will get to it, but again, it's, it's confronting, and I need to make sure that I'm aware of what might be triggered in me. The other Booker haul that I did today was Do Not Say We Have Nothing by Madeline Payne. And this is in Canada. This takes place in Canada right after the Tiananmen Square incident, and a Chinese woman comes to live with this family in Canada. Her name is Ai Ming. Yeah. And I heard, and I won't be able to find, it was one of the first book reviewer videos I watched, I think, and it was older. This was 2016 that it was shortlisted for the Booker. Someone really adored this book, and so for several reasons, I was happy to find it today. I thought it was a pretty stellar find. It's also, got French flaps, as in brand new condition, and yeah. So yeah, that's it. Can I say that's it? That's not really, that was a lot, but that's it. That was the last book that I had to go over. I already know I made some space on my bookshelf again because to rearrange some of the how I'm doing display books, so that feels good. And yeah, I felt it was way more unhinged until I just went through everything, and I'm like, never mind, there's a pretty good plan, and I know where I got it, and I know where it's going. And yeah, well, my hair is a bit unhinged, but I think the situation with my bookshelf, no, it feels pretty good. So I'll give a couple of these books another, like this one, another little glance, make sure that it is something that I want to shelf, and if not, I'll put it back in the go out to the little free library situation. And the next time you'll be seeing me will be in my week in review and reading, because I'm almost done with my last week's TBR.